one of the traffickers took me outside, and just so casual, I'm bawling, I'm crying, he's sitting with me, and there's like a police officer like right there, and but I couldn't scream or, you know, like, what do you tell him, you know, like, I'm just a prostitute. My parents, when I was born, they were both heavily involved with drugs. Even my mom, she was actually in prison a couple months before she gave birth to me and my brother. My dad was never in the picture when we were born because he had a whole nother family. And so when my mom just left, the police came about 2 days later, and they found me and my brother. And my dad, they couldn't find him, and then when they did, you know, he was living his own life. You know, he had a family, you know, he was still selling drugs and doing all that. So me and Corey, my twin brother, we just stayed in foster care, and we lived in different homes throughout Oakland, around the Bay Area. When I was 4, that's when I moved in with my great aunt and my great uncle, and they were my parents, and they actually prayed. They really prayed for kids. And my foster mom had a dream that there was twins, and then we popped up. So it was quite God. It was really God. How you go from like parents who were, you know, there, and then parents who were a pastor and first lady. You know, it's kind of funny. I was very quiet, very to myself, but I just loved music. I loved seeing people smile. I loved meeting new people, particularly at church. I think that created an environment for me really to love people. Growing up as a child, my dreams were dancing, singing, being this big performer, and just making music. There was a relative, an older cousin, that would come visit, and she started molesting me and my brother. It was hard because you go to church and you're told like you're going to hell, you know, for sex and stuff like that, and you're not pure enough, and you're not this, and you'll never. And for me, it got to a point where I was like, well, you know, who can I tell? Who can I talk to about this? You know, I remember I just squeezed myself and. Sorry. I would just really squeeze myself and just I would fight so hard to block those thoughts out. And that's all I had was just myself. I just blocked them out. And it worked. It worked. I didn't have to think about it. It never came up again. And it worked. But it was still there, and that's all I knew that's all I knew to do. I didn't realize it was abuse at all because I think I took a part of ownership in it, you know, and because it wasn't like I was like screaming, you know, and stuff. But I think I really took that on and just took it in as like it was me too, you know, it was me, and I wanted it, or, you know, and this, you know, I just always internalized those thoughts. I didn't really understand sex, you know, so for someone to awaken that in me, I didn't really know what to do, and it sent me down a path where I felt like I was really hypersexual, you know, and stuff. Looking back on it, it was more of me just kind of rebelling out in a sense then. Like, if I couldn't, like, there was no way for me to process, no way for me to let it out, anger and all that, then it turned into me just doing whatever I wanted, just rebelling, just going wherever I wanted. I just didn't care. What's the point, you know? I've given up hope, I've had no self-esteem, I had no thoughts to any future or anything, marriage, all that, just out the window. My foster parents, they were kind of, they were really, really strict Christians. They were really old school too. So there was always this kind of distance between us. So it was really hard for me to feel like they understood me, or I can go talk to them, or I really couldn't. And then within the church, as you get older, you start seeing things that you didn't. It was almost like, I felt like Eve. I ate this fruit, and now my eyes, I'm naked now, and so, when I got to this point in life, I started seeing church really different, and people as as they were. They were hurting, they were sick, they weren't perfect. But I still loved them. That's all I had. That's all I had. That's the only place that gave me joy. When I was 17, I rebelled even harder, and it got to a point where my foster mom, she just asked me to move. And I did, and I didn't blame her. I wasn't angry at her because I knew I needed to leave too. I just didn't know where to go. And I reached out to my biological mom. I was hearing she's really clean and she's healthy and she wanted to connect with me. And, who wouldn't want to do that with their biological parent, And I called her up and I told her, hey, I just kind of need a place to live. I'm trying to get back on my feet and you could just kind of help me out, And she's like, of course. I moved in. The first week was great, honestly. Like, she was telling me how much she loved me, and we would pray together. We would just have all these kind of moments that were missed in a sense. But she wasn't healthy. That following week, she flipped, and I was no longer beautiful. I was this slut, this bitch that needed to go get money, and she'll try to hook me up with her older guy friends, and she'll tell me to go work in gentlemen's club, and just all these things that that she knew, that she understood, or that she wanted to see in me, and that's not. I knew that wasn't who I was, and so I kept trying to at least just make it work, because I understood, she wasn't healthy either, but I was just a little bit too late, and she came home. She came home really high one day, really high. She was gone all night, all day, and she came in. She starts yelling at me, me and my brother, because he was living there too at the time, and she's just yelling at us. And I'm trying to calm her down, say, hey, you're not thinking right, you're not in your right mind, And she's getting in my face, and then she just starts hitting me. And I tried to grab her because I couldn't hit her, I was for some reason, I guess because she's my mom, I could not hit her, so I had to kind of hold her down. And her friend came in and she kind of threw me off, and they just kind of start jumping me, and I just laid there. I just let them keep hitting me, and she finally let go of my hair, and I grabbed the closest thing by the door. It was my purse. And I just ran, and all I hear, bitch, don't ever come back to my hood. And I just kept running because I just kept running. I called a friend I had met, and I thought I could trust her, and she picked me and my brother up, and we dropped him off at a friend's house and my mother's, and we start riding around, and she tells me, she's like, hey, I don't know what to do, but I can tell you this is what we can do to go make money. And she told me about prostitution, and she told me about what to do and how to do it. And she took me out to the track, which is where prostitution is prevalent. And when she picked me up, she took all the money, and she was with 2 other guys at this point, and she had me go sleep in a hotel with one of them, and I knew what that meant, you know, and the next day she didn't let me go. She took my money again, and I was like begging her and pleading her, like, just please let me go. Like, I don't care. I'll give you whatever I just want to go. Like, you know, this is all crazy, you know, and like we drove around for hours and hours, and I guess she just got fed up or something, and she just dropped me off, and I was on my own after that. I went back to a different city to my best friends who were living, and one of them actually, she was in the game commercial sex industry. She had these like pimps and stuff she was messing with, and I was coming into this world now where I was became a dancer, more an escort, and things just got really crazy. It got to a point where she just left, and she took like half my stuff. She went with a pimp. But there was this one guy, he was someone I knew for a really long time, actually. We hadn't seen each other in years, and so I found out he was a pimp, and he had females and all this and everything, and his approach to me was, I want to be your friend, you know, I know you, I've known you, and, you know, I know it's hard right now for you, and I just want to have your back. And dang, you know, you have no idea how much I just needed, you know, that in that moment. But, I don't know, you feel kind of dumb because you know, like, you should know better, you know, no matter how long you've known this person or how this person could come off, you know, they're still a pimp, you know, like, that's their mindset. And I started living with him, and we would go all throughout California. We had like the circuit, we would go around. And I would be up all day, all night. Like, I could not go to bed unless I met the quota he needed. I could not leave off the streets until I met the quota he needed. It didn't matter, you know, how many times people would take me or how many times I would call him and beg him, like, please come get me. He didn't care, because if I didn't have the money, I wasn't going to be okay, and that's what it became. Interestingly, he was never abusive to me. He never put his hands on me or anything. And he had other, you know, other girls too. So it wasn't like, I mean, not other girls, but like 2 other girls, but he never put his hands on me, and I think that's why what made me stay, because it's like, you know, like, I guess in a sense I felt like, you know, I was kind of up here, you know, and I was treasured, you know, and he would tell me, wow, you're so beautiful out there, and wow, you know, look at all this money you're bringing in, and oh my God, you know, he would just keep feeling all this stuff in my head and trying to make it okay, and you know, I just wanted to get to a place where I can be on my own, you know, I didn't have to need him, I didn't have to need anyone, you know, but that wasn't the reality, and I think it was just the dependency. He knew that I depended on him, and then it started like building like this friendship, and then he'll start holding on to my stuff for me when my friend left, and he had all my things, and then it turned into me, okay, I now have to stay here now. And so with that kind of, you know, that kind of like, he was very strategic, and then when I got there, it was just like, it didn't really take much, honestly, you know. Like I said, he didn't hit me or anything. I just needed him. It was easy for him to come to me, and with this, like, we're all each other got, you know, life was hard for both of us, and we're gonna make it out together. You know, it was that whole we thing, so it became like a friendship, you know, like a deep bond, you know, in a sense. And he was always using that. He was always using that. And I'm not gonna lie, there was moments where I did have the thought of, like, you don't care, you know, like, you wouldn't be making me out here do this, you know, like, if you cared, you know, like, but it was just a thought, you know. you know, you don't think too much in this life, you know. Like once you're in it, you see like a whole nother lens, and it's scary. It is so dark, and there's not a moment you turn a corner and there's not someone ready to try to take you or to try to hurt you or to try to have harm against you. And so you're constantly in this defense mode of having to watch your back and run and do this. And man, that alone was scary. But I think even worse was, you know, the faces you see, because you see really young children, you see really young children, you see older people, you see people who are like teenagers and they look like 50, you know, like you see people get beat up and down the street, you can see people running, screaming, scared. Man, clients were very hard for me because there are people who were like married. There are people who I've met that were pastors. They'll have like these businesses. They'll be doctors. I met lawyers. Met a police officer. You know, and so the trust thing. Oh no, I'm with a trafficker. I'm not gonna trust someone that will blatantly tell you about why they're cheating on their wife because she has cancer, or doesn't want to have sex with them. You know, like, no, there was no trust in that. They'll try to offer me to come work in their business. They'll try to offer me jobs, but why would I want to work for a client, a trick? You know, why would I do that? You know, like, I don't think that wasn't gonna put me forward. You know. They were honestly, they're just as worse as a trafficker. They're crazy people, and there are times I had to like fight my way out of meetings, and I had to like run, or I have to just I had to just have sex with them so they don't rape me, you know, like so they don't rape me, you know. But no one talks about that, you know, like no one cares because they could go home, you know. They have a home, they have money, you know, and so I wanted to have hope, but in what world, you know? My quota a night was at least $1,000, and that depends on where we went and what we did that day. But I mean, and that's the bare minimum. Like, that's not even satisfying for a trafficker. That's like scratching the surface. Like, that's why they keep you out so long, because you can keep making more and more and more. The more you think you can get, they're gonna make you do that, you know. Like, there'll be times I would like call my hands, you know, there's no one here, man, you know. I don't care, stay out there. He didn't care, you know, that was his property. Like, he could dump them and leave them and grab, you know, get another one. You know, that was his mentality. So he didn't care about our well-being, you know, like, and I think I wanted to think I was gonna be special, you know, and but it was one day he left me. Once again, I came back from a date, and he got really upset because I didn't have the money he wanted, and he left me with other traffickers, and they just held me in this hotel room, and they're all around me, surrounding me, and they're talking about, you know, you're with us now, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and we're gonna do all this, we're gonna make all this, and they're telling me all these things, and I'm bawling, like I'm like, I'm not even scared. I'm numb. Like, I'm just like, what is happening? Like, you know, I can't fathom what's going on. And there was even a point that one of the traffickers took me outside, and just so casual, I'm bawling, I'm crying. He's sitting with me, and there's like a police officer like right there, and but I couldn't scream, or, you know, like, what do you tell him? You know, like, I'm just a prostitute. Sorry.
Did you ever try and break away, get away?
No, because where was I gonna go? Who was I gonna go to, you know? And they had all my stuff. And so, I stayed like a day, and the next day, and it was almost like it dawned on me, like, I'm like never going to leave, you know? I'm stuck here, and I'm like, I gotta do something. And I called my biological dad, and I didn't tell him anything. I just told him, hey, I just need you to come pick me up, please. Like, I just need you. And he says, hell no. Hang up the phone. And but that trafficker heard me say dad, and he let me go. And I was like, he just let me go. I was so happy. Then I ended up, I called my dad again, say, hey, I'm just gonna come crash. He said, okay, just be gone in the morning. And I was. And after that, I was on my own. It was this time I was homeless. I still had to rely on men to eat, to sleep, take a shower. And I was just everywhere. Like, I looked horrible. Like, it was really a really low point for me. I didn't know what else to do. But I don't know, I guess there's always this hope in me. I was trying to think of, like, who the heck can I call? You know, I call my dad, he tells me F off, you know, and like, who can I call, you know? And I called my old high school counselor, not even thinking she'll be able to help me. I just called her. I said, hey, Miss Warmerdam, I just want to talk. You know, I just need someone to talk to. Can I just come? She said, of course, come by tomorrow, whenever. I went by next day. I took a bus down there, and I told her everything. I just told her everything that had happened. And she said these sweet words that, oh man, that it's just imprinted on my heart. And she just said, Courtney, you know, I know it's been hard, but I'm not gonna give up on you. We're gonna get you help, and I'm not gonna stop until we get you help, whoever it takes. And it was different because I knew she meant it. And literally the next day, I got in touch with the shelter, the women's center, and I had a meeting with them. And like 2 weeks later, I moved in. The problem was the shelter was still in this area where there was a lot of trafficking going on, a lot of drugs and all that kind of environment. So I wasn't completely removed, even though I wasn't in the life anymore. And man, I had to file restraining orders. There was one time a trafficker saw me, and he started following me up the street. I had on my headphones, and he came up behind me. He like slammed me up against this fence, and he started getting in my face, and he started like licking me and just grabbing my face. And I didn't move. I was terrified. And he's like, you're never gonna make it out of here. You're always gonna just be a hoe. And he was just so angry. And he followed me down the street. He was pushing me and just harassed me. And he finally stopped bothering me. And I just hurried up and went back to the shelter. And the first thing I did, I just cried. I didn't say a word. I didn't tell him what happened. I just cried. I was terrified. And that was just one example of the many times I had to like run. I had to hide behind houses. There was even another time I was screaming at the shelter. I'm like, because there's other people that live there. I was screaming. I'm like, you guys come outside. This guy's following me. He's following me. And they all came outside and like, where he's at? Where he at? But it was really a rough transition. I'm not gonna lie. And even just mentally, there's a lot of strongholds I had to break off myself, you know, and that was really rough too. Because even though you leave the life, it's like you're breaded into it, you know. It's like you're transformed. You're like brainwashed, and so that was a rough transition. That was a really rough transition. You know, I didn't have hopes and dreams, you know, anymore. So I was literally starting on a clean slate in every aspect of my life, and so that was the next step. And there were some mentors there that I really sat down constantly trying to talk through, okay, what do I want to major in school, or what jobs can I get, or, you know, what does 5 years from now, you know, those types of things. And they sound kind of cliche, but man, that was something I really had to really kind of get reconnected with again. And so that was kind of the next step, getting back into school as well, and then getting the youth organizer job. That was something that I didn't really picture myself being in any type of community service type of work, that kind of those jobs, but I kind of just stepped into it. I was traveling on my helping doing trainings, public speaking, but I was also writing some curriculum for people. I was also helping start up, you know, nonprofits as well too. So I had my hand in a lot, but it was all my identity in trafficking. I wasn't me, you know. And the more I got wrapped up in, you know, helping others and trying to give back, I wasn't being whole I wasn't being healed, you know, and there was a lot that was coming up personally, and even in the work I was doing, and it was terrible. It was really a rough time for me, being so young too as well. And so I got to a place where I just completely stopped everything. I didn't speak anymore. I didn't do any of those things. You know, when I got out the life, you know, I worked. I dealt with, you know, I was constantly busy, and this was a season of life where I can just rest, you know, and I don't have expectations. I can just rest, and I needed that so badly, and that was how I was introduced to Pure Hope. But if I'm going to grad school, you know, that really matter. And from there, I quickly learned that Pure Hope was a place also of healing, kind of reconnecting with God. It really wasn't Pure Hope. It was really Christ, you know, and their love for Christ and their willingness to point to Christ and to surrender and to say, you know, we don't have all the answers, but He does, and to constantly point me in that direction. And from that, you know, with them constantly, you know, praying and being thoughtful, I mean, Christ-minded, they knew exactly how to, if I needed, you know, those moments to talk, you know, they knew what to say to me. They knew the things I needed next. When they listened to God, they knew, oh, she can ride horses, you know, or something like that. You know, that's a great thing to do for healing. Or oh, she can go, you know, let's go get her some ice cream. You know, it's not necessarily, it's not a program, you know, it's not structured, you know, it's when you let Christ come in, you know, and he does the rest, you know. And I know it sounds kind of vague, but that's what it was, you know. Yeah, today I'm currently a college student on honors society. 2 of them actually have great grades, getting a lot of scholarships that I'm working really hard for. Currently a history major, going to go in pre-law, so I'm a double dip. I don't necessarily public speak anymore, but I'm always sharing my testimony with anyone I can, especially my peers, because they need to hear it. They need to hear it. Honestly, my life's really simple, and I love it, you know. And every day I get to, you know, do what I like, you know, do things I love to do, you know. And there's nothing sweeter than that freedom, you know. And I don't know what tomorrow has. I don't know what the future has, you know. But I might be the next president. I might be a congresswoman, or I might be a wonderful mom, you know, one day. But I know the possibilities are endless, and that's what I expect. I am going to have that.